Hi, I'm Kathy Lincoln. I'm a BERNINA Ambassador, and I will tell you that I bought my first Serger in 1991, and we have come a very long way since that Serger. This is our new L850. It is a wonderful machine. It is an air threader, and it comes with all kinds of wonderful features to make your life a lot simpler. It is a BERNINA through and through. It was BERNINA designed, engineered, and manufactured. So, let me show you some of these wonderful features that you have on this machine. You have in here, in the storage compartment here, you have all your tools. You have everything that you're going to use on a routine basis. It's just right handy right there. Anything else will come in this lovely tin that you don't need all the time. But it can stay next to your sewing station and look really pretty. Then you have your cutoff spin so that all that stuff doesn't just pile up on your sewing table. And then you can open up this, and this is the air threading area, and this is where you can control your air threading. You also have an adjustable foot pressure, very easily adjusted. You also have your knife cutting adjustment right here where it's very accessible. And on the other side here, you can drop your needle. So that you can have your needle up or needle down in a very easy and convenient manner. And that's very helpful when you're sewing on curves and you come back to where you started, so you don't cut those initial threads. So you also have a smart pedal. This is just like your sewing machine pedal, so you have total stitch control. You can do one stitch at a time, or you can make your needle go up, or you can make your needle go down, so that if you're working on something and you need to have total control and hands-on, then your foot can control the needle for you. Also, let me close this up real quick. You have the Freehand System, and that is a wonderful tool. I would never sew without one. I'm going to go ahead now and set up the machine for a 3-thread overlock, and you're going to see how wonderful this air threader is. Normally with a regular serger, you have to be careful which thread you start with in your loopers. Normally you start with the upper looper, but it makes no difference with this machine. So we're going to start with our lower looper. I have to turn my air threading control on, and since my needles are all the way up, or my needle is all the way up, all I have to do is pedal down on the ground, pull out some thread, put it into the thread pathway, and you don't actually have to stuff it in. All you have to do is hover. And here it is. That's simple. That is your lower looper, and you can move your foot out to put it underneath the foot. Now with the upper looper, it's the same thing. Pull out a little thread, put it into the tension wheels, hover it over and there it is, just like that. And then it can be put under your foot. I forgot to mention that we have a slide-on table. So this is your free arm, and then you have this lovely sewing surface as well. And that's handy when you have larger pieces. So now I'm going to thread my right needle. And you need to make sure your foot is up, and it is. And then you literally just follow the thread path. It's color-coded, even though I'm not using a green thread. This is the right needle, and that is the green needle. It has a semi-automatic needle threader, and you can choose if you want the green thread or the yellow thread. Green thread is the right needle. It goes around, goes into, there we go, and right through the needle, and then you pull it, oops, whoops. Of course, when you demonstrate, nothing goes as planned. There we go. There we go. And there is my needle threaded. And I do find that I use this a lot because as I mature, my eyeballs are not as sharp as they used to be. So, and you have a thread cutter over on the right side here that you can use to cut off all these extra threads so they're not in your way. Now, what you have to remember to do, and I'm going to close this door. If you do not put your air threader control back to the off button, this door will not close, and therefore the machine will not sew. So you have to put it back, and then this door will now close. Also, if your foot is up, it will not stitch. So you won't get all that ugly mess that you would get if you had your foot up, because when the foot is up, the tension wheels are not engaged. I'm going to make sure my knife is in the right place. I'm going to take off, this is the thread guide, I'm going to take this off, put my foot down, and stitch. As soon as I find the foot pedal, there we go. And you can see we have a perfectly wonderful stitch. It's balanced, everything meets on the edge, and it's a lovely strong stitch. This can be used for a lot of different things. You can use it for decorative work, you can use it for construction. It's a good jumping off point for other things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change threads in just the upper looper. I am going to take off my thread bin, open it up. I am going to cut my upper looper and pull it through. Okay. Now I am going to play with some razzle. This is just fun stuff. Actually, I'm going to take this off and put it here. This is an 8-weight rayon thread. It's a nice heavy thread, and this air threader will actually handle it quite nicely. So you thread it down. I need to turn on my air threader. Well, of course, I needed a new end here. Let me just give it a new end and pull out some more. Oops. You do have to hover. Okay. And you don't have to get it caught on the door. Come on. Oops, caught. There we go. You also, if you have to, sometimes, okay. It was going quite nicely. I am going to now pull it back. It was almost there. Okay. Well, it worked fine in practice. There we go. It's almost through. There it goes. Yay! Yeah. Put it underneath. And make sure I have my lower looper and I have my needle thread. Yes. So I'll turn this off. Close this.
Take a deep breath.
And now, because I want to do a flat lock, I need to change my tensions. Now this is a very handy chart. This comes with your manual. It has all the instructions in a pull-out that you can keep by your machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a 3-thread flat lock narrow. So I'm using the right needle, the upper looper, and the lower looper. So I'm going to now set my needle tension at about 2. And actually I like it a little less than 2. And then I'm going to leave my upper looper at 4, and I'm going to tighten my lower looper to 6. And maybe because it's a heavier thread, I'm going to go a little heavier than 6. Now I need to change my cutting width. Yes, I'm going to make, and I also want to make my stitch length a little shorter. And I'm going to change my cutting width to 8. And because I have practice with this, I know that I'm going to want to make my micro thread control about a +1. The micro thread control allows you to move the stitch finger without moving the knife. And that means you have a really nice extra piece of control. So let me grab my fabric and fold it. Cut spin back on. Make sure my foot is down. Yep, double check. So now with the flat lock, you can see it's a really pretty stitch. What a flat lock will do is it allows you to open up your stitch and it will be flat. And a flat lock will give you two sides. It'll give you the pretty side and it will give you the ladder side. Let me pull that open all the way. Now with the ladder side, you can run the ribbon through it. So you have the pretty side, and then you can have the ribbon on the other side, just like this. This is the flat lock. This is the latter side that I have put ribbon through. So you get the opportunity to use both sides of the flat lock to decorate whatever you want to decorate. It also is very handy in putting together two heavy fabrics that you don't want to have a regular seam. It can be used in construction. It is used frequently in leisure wear and exercise wear. Now we're going to switch to let's see, to the rolled hem. A rolled hem is really a wonderful tool. I have used it to do pin tucks. I have used it to edge napkins. When my kids were little, I would use it to we'd make our own tablecloths. We go to Joann's and buy that flannel-backed tablecloth material, and then that would I would roll hem it, and then no matter what the kids did on the table, you know, their finger painting, the eating, you know, kids are messy. So that was very handy to have something that I know I didn't spend a lot of money on, but it looked finished. So when someone came over to the house, I was not embarrassed. So this is Soft Lock. It is a texturized polyester. And it fills in really nicely when you shorten up, because you need to change to a rolled hem length. And there we go. Just like that. It came right through. Put that under the foot. Put it up in the cutter. Close everything back up again. Whoops. Make sure I turn that off. While I have the door open, let me show you. You really do have total speed control. You can do so at half speed. So you have a button here that you can turn on to half speed, and that will allow you to mash the foot pedal down and still sew slowly. It's a lovely feature. Now I need to change my tensions again because, and I also need to move my stitch finger. This is, the O is for overlock, the R is for rolled hem. So I need to pull this back, and that brings the stitch finger back. I'm going to change my cutting width to 5.5. I am going to leave my upper looper at 4, and I'm going to bring my needle back to 4, and I'm going to bring my lower looper up to about 7.5, and that's just going to pull everything around to the back like it's supposed to be. And I have that. Stitch length is adjusted. Make sure my foot is down. Okay, a lovely rolled hem. Beautiful on both sides. Like I said, you can use this to do pin tucks. That is how these were done. You also can finish napkins, tablecloths. You can sew over air and create your own trim. This is with a rayon in the lower looper and upper looper and just regular thread. in the needle. You can use that to make tassels. And then, of course, you can customize all your trim to whatever other color you want or you need, that you can now couch down on garments, on quilts, art quilts. You can just have a good time playing. Also, the kinds of things that you can do with the serger is you can actually put in zippers. This zipper was put in with the serger, a 4-thread stitch serger. The whole thing, including the piping, this piping along the edge here, that was also put in. This gathering was done on the serger. Everything, this entire pillow sham was done on the serger. And I can show you the inside of it, and you can see that the whole thing was done on the serger. The piping, the seaming, the zipper, all the decoration on the front, the flat lock, the pin tucking, and the gathering was all done on the serger. This is another example of piping, flat locking, gathering, and rolled hemming, all done on the serger, and the zipper also was put in on the serger. Easy peasy.
Kathy, Melanie Cook says she does bridal dresses, that the edging with tulle and shears should go through like butter.
Yes. When you're working with tulle, you're going to want to use the 2-thread adapter, because you're only going to want 2 threads, because you want something very light. You want the stitch to be extremely light. It has a built-in 2-thread adapter, so that what you would do is you would take the thread out of the upper looper, you would thread your right needle and your lower looper, and you would have just a little bit of thread there. It would be a very light rolled hem to finish the edge of the tulle, and it would be perfect. You can actually use your overlock stitch to be decorative. I put blue thread in my needles and yellow thread in my loopers because I thought that contrasted really nicely with my laminated cotton. And so I had this lovely tote bag with all the seams on the outside, but they're decorative. You can even quilt on your, I'm going to go ahead and stand up with this, because this whole quilt was done on the serger, the whole thing. And you can see from the back how neat and pretty the back is. I even edged the quilt so that now when I sandwich up the quilt and I go to quilt it, it will be nice and neat and clean, and I won't have any ravelly edges. You can even bind your quilt on the serger. And this is where being able to move your knife is very handy. But literally, see, the binding was sewn on. I was able to miter my corners. Let's see this. This is. You can see the corner is mitered, and then you can either hand whip it, or then you can go to your regular machine and machine it down. But you can put your binding on with the serger. And of course, there is garment construction. You can always make, I made this for my mom. She didn't like the sleeves, so I had to redraft the sleeves. So I have a sample to show garment construction. And the seams, the sleeves, everything was put in with the serger. So it's nice and clean on the inside, and this is a knit. And because your machine has differential feed, you can control that stretch. You know how you can get wavy seams on knits? Well, with that differential feed, you don't get wavy seams. You have absolute control. And then there's even more fun stuff that you can do. There is this thing called Serger Lace. And this is where you put in your razzle into both loopers, and you stitch across the fabric once, and then you drop your needle, you drop your cutting knife, and then you just sew in rows. This is 4 rows of 3-thread overlocking, and it's called Serger Lace. So you can make all kinds of wonderful trims. You can embellish your quilts with this. You can just have a grand time. So, now that you've seen this machine, and there's so much more it can do. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I would like you to come and make an appointment to come visit me, and we will go through this with you and just learn to create and have fun.
Kathy, what's the difference between, today we're showing the 850
and the 890?
Features with the 890 that
Okay.
take it that step up?
Yes, with the 890, in this space here, you have a color screen, touch screen, and you don't have these dials. In the touch screen, you have all the controls. Very much, the screen and the symbols are very much like your regular sewing machine. You have Creative Consultant, where you would touch that, and then if you tell it what you want to work on, what stitch you want to use, what fabric you want to use, it will then tell you the settings, and when you hit the green check, it will set those for you. Now you still have the ability to fine-tune those to whatever combination, because sometimes you just need to tweak things a little bit. And so that would be one difference. Also, it has 2 steps of the free arm. There is a free arm cover, and then it has the slide-on table as well. It has the same air threading. It is what's called a combination machine. It will do chain and cover stitches as well. A cover stitch, if you look at a lot of your knit garments, that's how they hem things. A chain stitch is used as a security stitch, so you would have a chain and an overlock stitch together. I have actually quilted quilts using the chain stitch. You're really only limited by your imagination. And the best thing about the chain and the cover stitch is it has the chain looper is threaded with the air threader. So you don't have to go and manipulate over here and try to get it threaded and around, and it's just a one step, it's done.
Before you finish, I think there's a machine behind you that you were going to just
oh yes,
give a peek of.
Yes, this is our new B790 Special Edition. And now it's set up for embroidery. These are some of the things that you can do with it. This is a tote bag I made. I personalized it with my initials. I embroidered. You can't really see the embroidery here, but then I added decorative stitches to it. And then I combined decorative stitches and set them up in an embroidery so that I could then embroider them. And then, of course, the zipper was put in, and it has a really pretty inside. So yes, this is our new guy, And the 790 comes with a 480 as well. And it has the same wonderful skin on it. And that's a really big deal. So you can have your 790 at home, and this is a heavy machine, and then you can take your 480 to classes. It's a great deal, and it comes with the trolley system for both of them. So, we have more ways to create. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have more questions, you know where to find us. You can email us at the website at sales@artisticartifacts.com. And that's where you can go to Artistic Artifacts to make your appointment to come visit me and try this machine. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the shop.